Welcome, everybody, to the Starin Town Hall. My name's Chris. I'll be your host. Today, we are joined by Huddly, and here are my special guests, Todd Shires, Kayla Payne, and Charlie McCarroll. They are going to be here to kind of guide us through this journey of what is new, what is innovative, and what's going on with Huddly. If you haven't checked out Huddly lately, you should, because Huddly's got some great products. So welcome, everybody. You all appeared on my screen all at the same time. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing great, Chris. I really appreciate you having us. The partnership with Starin and like that has been, growing exponentially, and we expect to continue that. And appreciate the opportunity to speak about our products to your customers.
So thank you for coming. Just want to give you guys some rules. This is a tough crowd. There's a bunch of engineers. There's going to be some technology managers. All different types of folks are on this call. So be prepared to get hit with some Q&A. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do have questions, do not hesitate to drop it down below in the Q&A button. Post those up. I will get it to them. We're going to save all the questions to the end because you know what? We're going to let them kind of guide us through this conversation first, show us what they got. And while they're saying this stuff, drop your questions into the Q&A, and I'll be more than happy to assist in getting those questions answered. You know how it works. It's a town hall, so they have questions. You guys have questions, and Huddly will hopefully have all the answers. So let's start by introducing everybody that's on this call. We'll start ladies first. Kayla, if you'd like to introduce
Absolutely.
yourself.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. My name is Kayla Payne. I am Huddly's channel marketing executive. I handle really anything marketing related for the Americas, so anything from Canada to LATAM. And it's great to be here today, so thank you.
Awesome. Todd?
Todd Shires. I'm a director of channel distribution for Huddly, and again, just excited to be here.
Excellent. Charlie, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Charlie McCarroll, technical director here at Huddly. Hopefully, I can answer all of your technical questions today, but I guess we'll find out, right?
Well, we're going to keep a scorecard on you, Charlie. So
fair enough.
That's how we go. All right. So who is going to lead the presentation or give us a quick intro about Huddly and tell us a little bit about Huddly?
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and get started for Huddly. We started shipping products to the Americas in 2017 with the Huddly Go, which was a wide-angle huddle room camera. So you're talking about 15 feet or less. And then we've continued to add cameras. And basically what we do is add intelligence. So we have processing power inside the endpoint. So hopefully to make the user experience professional yet simple. So our background is from engineers from Timbre that was acquired by Cisco, and then they went off to start their own company when Cisco started selling $200,000 telepresence rooms. Thought that the video conferencing might go a different direction, and I think they were right. So for our products, we're in a very good spot right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because you guys came from the Timbre background. The Timbre lenses were about the size of your cameras right now. So that's awesome how much it's changed in the last 15, 20 years, at least since I've been in the business of video conferencing. Sure, you guys have been an up and coming company that has been giving a lot of flexible choices to people, especially when it comes to these huddle rooms. But we are going to debate at some point. Somebody's going to ask the question of where the huddle room is going. I'm assuming. Since for the last 2 years, we don't even know what a huddle room is going to be anymore. But you guys have new solutions to that, aside from the Huddly Go and the Huddly One, which is the products that most people are familiar with. Mm-hmm. Let's get into the presentation then.
All right, so one of our products that we have here is the Huddly Canvas. So again, leveraging kind of the same, hardware, we're able to customize with basically defining the camera via software. So one of the things that I'm going to do right here is just a quick live demo, and then we can kind of also, kind of go over the principle, and you'll see with our IQ, which I'm on, so I'm using the IQ microphone. And when you settle in a meeting room, you don't want the camera moving around a whole lot. So in a couple of seconds here, you'll see it frame me. And this is what would happen in a meeting room as well. What you're seeing in the white box is a live feed from the Huddly Canvas. You can see the reflections with the windows in my room on the whiteboard. With our AI, we basically look for the pen strokes, and then you're able to, get rid of glare, shadows, what have you, and really be able to share a whiteboard, just a standard whiteboard, which is in tons of meeting rooms. But again, it's taking the basically principle that the foundation of Huddly is great optics. And so here, let me, I'm not a best demoer because my handwriting isn't super good, but with the optics, basically we design all of our own lenses. These aren't off the shelf, just OEM type parts that are in our cameras, and they're actually manufactured in Poland and Norway. So supply chain constraints haven't been a big issue. And we basically got a VPU or video processing unit, so lots of horsepower in the camera. And then we also, Scandinavian design is something that they take a lot of pride in. And so whether it comes to furniture, whether it comes to conference cameras, it's a sleek design. So that's kind of at the foundation. And then on top of that, you're basically able to, and I'll switch colors here. You're basically able to then with software, you can define, and this is inside the camera again, with software, you can basically define things for multiple applications. And with that, it can be, let's just say small conference rooms, medium conference rooms, large conference rooms. Again, based on what the application is, it can be a whiteboard as I'm doing now. We'll just do a whiteboard. It can be a work from anywhere environment, so our Huddly One. But with software, because of the strong processing, we can customize and do a lot of cool stuff. So that's kind of a different mindset. So you have a strong foundation of the products and like that. And again, you can see it in action there with how much better it actually looks better on the far end of my whiteboard. I don't know if you see my pens are starting to run out of ink, but we actually enhance the writing so it looks darker. And again, you're seeing the framing of the IQ as well at the same time.
Very good. One thing we noticed is that you have a little baby whiteboard. We're going to put a little fun together to get you a real whiteboard because, wow, that one is
well, my bookcases.
And I got to say, I don't critique presentations or handwriting. You do have some doctor's handwriting. That Scandinavian design, if you were to tell me that you shipped me a bunch of parts and I got to put the camera together, then that would be a problem.
Yeah,
I can't put desks and chairs together, let alone a camera. So
no IKEA wood pegs needed for this, Chris.
Very, very interesting. So that is fairly new. That was something you guys introduced at the end of 2021. Am I correct?
So actually, it's it was towards the end of 2020 actually, and just again, just with it was a new product to the category. We have since had a little bit of competition come join, but I take that as a compliment that we're doing something right. But our AI enhancements again are second to none. I may be a little biased, but the user experience is a very good thing. As you just saw, what you guys saw was better than someone if they were sitting in my office would see on the whiteboard.
Yeah, it looks really good. And please don't mind I'm all off with the time date. I don't know what day it is or year or when it was. So I knew it was coming.
It's okay. Don't worry.
It was in 2021, 20 or 2021. I ever since we've been in this weird time hole type thing, it's been kind of weird. So anyway, that product is fairly new, but you were here to talk not just about the whiteboard. You're here to talk about something else, right?
Yeah, this I'll pass over to Charlie here.
All right. So what we're going to be showing here today, you guys got some network cameras, the L1, which is a fairly new product, but more recently, you've introduced the S1. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to find out what the differences are for folks that are on the call. Obviously, you guys are going to have some questions regarding which one is good, which one should you use. I'm sure we're all going to get right down into the nitty gritty of it. So let's hear about the L1 and the S1.
Absolutely. So the L1 and the S1, just like the slide says, are new sort of network-based cameras. So the big question a lot of people ask is, why go the route of kind of network-based cameras as opposed to sort of the standard USB stuff that's been, popular for a while now. So we can do a whole lot more with a network type camera than we can with a USB camera due to a lot of the, just restrictions that lie within a USB bus, right? So if you're talking about things like, being able to take, multiple slices from a video sensor, being able to, manage these things as a group, cameras that actually can communicate with other cameras may become, something that's, interesting down the line. And, the biggest advantage of the network cameras today is the fact that they do all have built-in extension, right? So one of the biggest, issues that we've all had is trying to extend USB cameras. Extenders are, fairly expensive, can sometimes cost more than the camera itself. But because the L1 and the S1 are both network based, we have a PoE adapter that powers them, and you can actually have up to a full 100 meters 330 feet between the two, so normal standard Ethernet distance, so no extension required. But L1 we came out with a few months ago. It's our first, not only our first network camera, but our first camera built specifically for larger rooms. So the optics in the L1 are designed for a narrower room, but also a longer room. So, think about 15, 20, 25 person table. You can, successfully, use the framing within the L1 all the way back to, 25, 26 feet, from the original, from the camera. S1, we just announced, and S1 is going to be the same basic idea behind network cameras, but also have the optics of a smaller room camera. So it's made mostly for like small and medium sized rooms. So those are the big differences, kind of between the two. But, from a functionality standpoint, they both, they're both really great cameras. They both have a lot of our AI technologies. They'll both do genius framing. And then we have another experience coming out that we'll show you here, I think in a minute, that's going to be exclusive to our network cameras and that we're really excited about.
Sweet. So we're seeing a graphic right now that says gallery view. Obviously, the view to the right is what you would see with the camera pulled all the way back in the front of a room. But then the gallery view is actually taking the four people and putting them into four individual squares on a single monitor. That's the way you would see it on a video call today, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So gallery view is something that we sort of developed in response to this big ask that we were getting for meeting equality, right? Like everybody wants the people in the meeting space to look just like the people at home. So, some of our, partners at, Microsoft and Zoom, are building this ability to ingest these, single tiles as a people view. That you can just sort of, have these just in a regular gallery view. One of the things that's kind of cool about our product, and we're only doing this actually on the IQ to start out with, it may, roll into the S1 as well. IQ being a 3-year-old product that's going to get this update, probably in the next couple of months at no charge, which is, kind of one of the cool things about how we do things at Huddly. But, our cameras not only are able to work with the Zooms and the Teams, but we actually can send this feed out as a composited image. So it can work with literally any codec. So, if you want to use WebEx, if you want to use BlueJeans, if you want to use, any number of them, I think there's, several hundred actually that you can choose from. But we can actually send out this full composited image to still give that whole meeting equality experience, with whatever your codec of choice is.
That's interesting because what this does, this meeting equality that you're talking about, it's breaking, I guess, the barriers of what AV people traditionally refer to conference rooms, right? Conference rooms are either small, medium, or large, but by having this meeting equality issue, you're now, it doesn't matter what size the room is, everybody's going to be the same, looked at the same height, same kind of framing in each of them. It's truly unique in that sense because I don't think, getting to this point took a long time, I guess, from a technology perspective, that we never looked at that because for the most part, every meeting room was just designed and that it was the long, narrow table and you were just in there and that was important. But giving everybody kind of a spotlight is something that we've only seen recently over the last 2 years that people have been focusing on that. And it's great to see that, that's a growing trend that people are now looking for and pushing for. What makes this possible I have to ask, is this AI built in, or is this machine learning? What would you credit that to?
A couple of things. So yeah, the intelligence that's built into the camera. But one of the things that helps us out, particularly as Huddly, is we put a very large image sensor on all of our cameras, right? So if we're doing the processing on the camera itself, then we have full access to the entire resolution of that image sensor, as opposed to some of the other products that are just taking the 1080 feed and then trying to break them up. So we have a lot more pixel real estate that we can deal with, and so we're able to kind of make these frames look a lot better than some of our competitors are, just because of that alone. But yeah, the intelligence built into the camera. So all of our cameras at Huddly are what we want to try to do is build a really great piece of hardware that has a whole lot of processing headroom in it for the future. And so, like I was saying, the IQ, being a 3-year-old camera, still has enough processing headroom in it in order to do this. The L1 just came out. The S1 is in pre-order right now. You can only imagine the amount of extra headroom that we have built into those cameras for years of development, that we're going to start being able to, produce these really cool experiences. Gallery view being one of them. But we've had the next one that we're going to show is sort of this, I think that gallery view has a place, right? It's 4 people probably is about the max that you're going to be able to really get these individual squares from a single camera. So the question is, what do you do when there's more than 4 people in the room? What happens when these conference rooms fill back up to 10, 15, 20 people? So how do we bring a similar experience with a equitable viewing ability to those larger rooms? And so we've come up with kind of the first step to that solution, which we are able to show you in a little bit here.
Awesome. So just out of and I think one of it popped up in the questions, but we're saving Q&A to the end, but I have to ask because somebody already asked it in the Q&A. How many individual windows will be framed or can be framed? We see an example of 4. How high can they go? Can they break them into, if you have a 10-person table, is it 8 max? Is it 4? What is the multiples of, or is it just keep on going and scrolling?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when we're talking about the individual framing, the testing that we've done in order to still make everything look good, basically maxes out at about 4 people to put individual tiles in, especially when you have them packed in a little bit close like that. Now, you'll see some of our competitors' products, they'll be able to pull out more, but a lot of the, demo videos that at least I've seen has everybody, essentially sitting at a long table, all staring at the monitor, like, 10 people all, lined up, all just staring at the same thing. I haven't personally seen a ton of actual conference rooms designed that way outside of like a telepresence type room. So, but you can kind of see, like, in order to get those frames, you need these people to be spaced out. You need, the area to do it. But when you start to get into a more realistic setup of what a, conference room, if you had, people in all those empty chairs, that's in the picture on the left there, would you still be able to pull out that many frames? Probably not with the resolution that would look decent. So that's when we kind of move into the other types of, framing experiences.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's get to the exciting news that you guys want to share, because you have a video queued up to actually to talk about that. So let's move over to the next slide with audio.
Hi, I'm Bendik. My team and I are here to demo our new smart feature, Speaker Framing. We have designed speaker framing to make you feel included and engaged in video meetings. Here's how it works. Huddly S1 gets input from the image sensor and directional microphones. Using AI, the camera then analyzes that information to determine people's position in the meeting room and frame the conversation. Speaker framing puts the focus on the person talking, in this case me, while at the same time never losing the overview. It cuts to the other people in the room in a way that resembles how you would naturally look around when you're in a meeting. If something unexpected happens, like if someone walks in, speaker framing adapts. This way, remote participants know what's going on in the room and feel a part of the conversation.
So watching that in action, moving around, accounting for people walking in and out of the space, that's pretty interesting. Because it's not just that it just doesn't pull back like I would have expected it just to go back to, let's go right back to reset mode and just go to the full thing and then have to reprocess again. It's actually tracking and moving with the people as they move around, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this is the idea of, once we get these rooms full of people, how do we still bring that, intimate, conversational aspect of it to video meetings. And that's sort of the direction that we've kind of come up with, which is, finding the person who's, speaking, find where the attention is into the room, and then being able to kind of, show different views of the room. Right there, that demo only had 3 people in it, but you can imagine if it was a room full of people, each cut may have 1 or 2 people in it as opposed to just a single person. But it's trying to make traditional speaker tracking more conversational and more natural. Just to kind of, to
Charlie,
put it that way, I guess.
So Charlie, this is not something you guys just sat around and said, you know what, we got to figure out something. You guys are responding right to what the people are asking for. You guys notice this is a trend. And obviously with the way things are going right now, as people kind of slowly move back to the office and start working in a hybrid workforce, there's not really a guarantee that there's going to be 10 people in a conference room to begin with anyway. So now the conference room sizes and how people are using conference rooms are kind of changing. And this kind of sets them up for, a space where the table used to handle 10 people, now they handle 5 because it's now operating in a different capacity because of the way things are. And this is addressing that in the best way possible until we figure out what this new world of conferencing is going to be in the next 5-10 years. But until then, I think this is a very good step forward. And I think obviously with everything that's coming down the pike as people are being pushed to, all the smart people at the camera companies, what I've noticed is you guys are trying to think of what's next every time, trying to be one step ahead. This is a good example of how that is taking place. So, one side effect of what has gone on in the last 2 years is that really smart people have had to get really creative in how they think of things. So things have actually sped up in the process, which is kudos to you and every company that's out there trying to figure out what's next without having a roadmap of what is next. We're all kind of living and learning. So thank you for that. I think that's going to be something very nice that people are going to be looking forward to. And obviously that's a feature that people are going to be looking forward to in cameras. One of the things that you said previously, prior to on the L1, S1 conversation, was that you are using networked cameras. So I have to ask this question because it's something that Starin addresses on a daily basis. One of the toughest things that we have from parts or shipping issues is that, USB extenders are gold. It is, anybody who can come up with a USB extender is going to win the race, apparently. At least that's what I'm told. USB extenders are tough to come by, but because you're using a network-based setup, you actually have this PoE injector that kind of works like an extender. So for folks that are currently speccing in cameras that require those, the L1 and the S1 kind of address that in a nice package. And some people may not even be aware of that because of the way you guys have termed it as a PoE with an extender. Is that true?
Yeah, it's basically it's an extender. Yeah, some people do it, a network connection, it breaks out into a normal UVC connection. I think that's where ours is a little bit different. Yeah. Our PoE adapter is actually a network adapter. So our cameras just show up as a network device. They work on the ONVIF protocol, which some of you might be familiar with from the, CCTV, or not CCTV, but the, security cameras. But, what we're seeing is that, our thinking is that eventually all the codecs and most things will be able to take in a network-based video feed. We would like to one day hope that PoE adapter isn't necessary and that the cameras can just go straight onto your network. Now we have a lot of enterprise security hardening to do to the device before that's possible, just because right now we're working on a local link and so we don't really have to worry about too much security. But once we kind of go down that road and we get to the point where these cameras are living on the data network or close to it, security is going to be obviously the top priority. From previous companies I've worked for, that's been a big issue as far as letting AV devices onto the data network.
Charlie, that was the best use of future-proof without using the word future-proof that I've heard in a very long time. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Well, good. It's not often that your hardware manufacturer is actually thinking that one day we're going to lose that box and go right straight to the back of it. So that sounds great, because for many years I saw RJ45 ports on the back of cameras. This is me going back 20 plus years, and those cameras those ports. As time went on, we kept hearing, they were never intended to be on the network. They were just for updates and upgrades. You're not talking that way. So that comforts me that I'm not having flashbacks to 1998. So thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So now that we've gone through the conversation and the hard part, we're going to put all four panelists back on the hot seat, and we're going to bring your questions and answers to everybody. And I know I got some questions and answers that have sent to me privately. I got others that are sent anonymously. You ready to go through this? Kayla, you may be off the hook. Nobody's asking me about marketing stuff, but
oh, come on. That's the fun stuff.
I'll throw a marketing question your way when it comes time, because I know which one to ask you. But let's start off with the first question that came through. Somebody wants to know how did you drag the whiteboard, Todd, into the picture, and are both cameras connected to the UC engine?
So basically, I have OBS software, which a lot of you guys might be familiar. So I'm able just to move objects like my little name thing. I can move it, wherever. So I have multiple video feeds going to basically the cameras that are connected to my laptop. So anyway, with this, I like being able to show in the same frame the whiteboard with the glare, and then the feed with the whiteboard without.
Awesome. And prior to this conversation, by the way, folks, you don't know, but prior to this, we connected a little earlier, and I was having a lot of gripes and concerns. And this goes back to something that Charlie said as well. Having all the onboard processing and a lot of the hard work being done by the camera will not take away from my PC, which is having a bad day today. So if you have a camera that is actually doing a lot of its own processing and not taxing your laptop and whatever company issued laptop that you may have, it's a positive. Think of that as a positive, especially when you go into a conference room and you have folks that are handed, the best priced bid corporate laptop that was assigned to them, and they try to connect to these things. The least amount of taxing, that it could do to the machine itself, and if they can handle it like the cameras can, then it's a lot easier, and you'll have a little less help desk calls. At least from my days as a tech manager, that's what I would say. It was blame it on the laptop, blame it on IT. But now that's a whole other conversation for another day. All right, next question we got coming in. For personal machines, I've gotten a really great experience out of something like the Brio and NVIDIA broadcast. Huddly seems like that, but built in. Is there anything on the road that might offer a similar kind of experience, but to retrofit our existing cameras we have invested in? So I don't understand the question 100%, but I'm thinking that this is a question about the previous Huddleys that are out, the One and the Go. Are they going to be updated with this software to allow them to keep up with, say, the L1 and the S1?
The Go, I don't think is getting. I think it was last update, 6 or 7 months ago. I don't know if we have any more updates on the books coming for it. The One gets updates pretty regularly. The One and the IQ are a very similar platform, and okay. So we still develop for both of those. The Go is, guys, would you say it's sort of getting close to being officially?
Well, I mean, let's just say that we can get in the webcam pricing. If there's anybody that needs a wide angle room, we can get real aggressive on supplying some Go. So please reach out to Starin, and we can wheel in deal there to where it's a conference room camera that we're willing to get out there. So for wide camera uses. But it was the first camera. We have much better processing in the IQ and the L1 and the S1 that we're going to ride from this point on.
Okay, so now you heard it here, folks. Todd said, call your Starin reps right now and ask for a better deal. because they're priced. Not that they're going anywhere anytime soon, but they just happen to be at a good price right now for the wide angle conference rooms. So there you go. I didn't say it. He said it. Blame it on him. And make sure you say Todd sent you. So
if you're using Brios, a Go is a very great equivalent to it. In our A/B testing, we found that, obviously we prefer our camera, but it's a very similar class camera if you're using a Brio for something.
All right, next question. We found, I guess this is going to be a question for Charlie. We found some contradicting information in the specs about the cable distance limitations of the S1 and the L1. One states 30 meters, the other states 100. Is it 100 for both based on what was mentioned earlier?
Spec sheet is the bane of my existence. We've tried to get that updated multiple times. It is the full Ethernet distance, so it's 100 meters, 330 feet between the adapters. Along those same lines, I think we did the update for Canvas, but I think it was also less than what the actual distance are. So you should be able to still do that same 100 meters, 330 feet with Canvas and its extender as well. Just to throw that in there.
Well, and I think it comes from our engineers being very conservative about what they put out there, just to make sure that they know that things will work. And as we know, when you get towards the length of an Ethernet run, the signal does degrade a little bit, and we just want to make sure. But if you have a quality cable, is what they like to say is the caveat, the full 100 meters.
Yeah. I'm just taking note that you said that engineers are conservative. So just from my own notes here. Thank you, sir. Next question comes in from Chip. Chip wants to know, how does the gallery view handle movement? I'm assuming that we saw that in the demo, but you guys want to put the official word onto that?
Sure. Yeah. So gallery view, at least in the working versions I've seen, can track you. So it's going to show you about from head to right about here. It's a very, it narrows it up really well. But if I do this or that, I mean, it does, the frame does move to keep me in frame. And it works, it works really well, actually.
All right. Charles has a question. Charles asks, so the S1 and the L1 are network cameras and can be connected to a switch as well as a USB device?
Yes. So if I took an L1 today and I plugged it into a switch, could I find the video feed on the network? I could. Our official way that it's supported today, though, is through the PoE adapter and the virtual driver that we built for it in order to make it work with all the different codecs. So yes, you can plug it into a switch and find the video feed, but it's not necessarily a supported way of doing things. And like I was saying, if you really want to deploy this on a network, there's some steps that we're going to have to take to harden it a little bit for security purposes.
Okay. We were not going to accept PoE magic as an answer, so thank you for clarifying that. Also, folks, for the folks that are on this, Starin has some very smart engineers on staff that can help you design this stuff. We also have access to Huddly as well as you. So if you have any questions regarding this, please do not hesitate to contact your rep. We will get you in touch with our team of designers that will help you put this through, because if you can't get the answer, I know that they have special phones, like, that special bat phone type thing that they can get right to the Huddly engineers to find out what's going on. So do not hesitate to pick up the phone, send an email, a fax. We may have a fax somewhere. So find us, get a hold of us, find me on the internet, and we'll make sure we'll get you connected to the right people. Next question came in from Rod. Rod asks, I have a need to integrate two L1 cameras in one PC, but Zoom can't switch between the two. Is there a fix for this?
Yeah, so we are working on a modification to our driver that supports dual L1s. So currently with our driver as it stands today, it only supports one network camera connection at a time. But it has been a pretty big request to do multiple cameras. Now there's a workaround that I can, explain to you about how to make two cameras work, but to make it work smoothly, we need to update our driver, which hopefully we should be doing in the next few months.
Okay. And what's the time frame for
the driver update? I would say hopefully by the next couple of months, probably. I'd say more of a April, May timeframe.
I'm okay with that. I'll accept that. Hopefully the audience will accept that as well. It's not on a ship. We can handle that, right?
No, it's just software changes.
Thank you. All right. Next question comes in from Charles. Does the canvas have a way to capture and send the whiteboard content? Is that a particular, way of capturing? And how does it share or save?
Yeah, so just like all of our other cameras, all the processing is done at the camera itself. So the video feed that Todd was showing was actually coming straight from the camera. If you wanted to, save that in some external software, you definitely can, but the canvas does not require any on-device software to work. Everything is done on the camera itself.
And how does it, can you save images from the whiteboard? How would you do that? Through screen captures on your
Yeah,
Zoom?
yeah.
Or do you have something internal, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we don't have any sort of capture software as part of like our Huddly app or anything like that. So if you wanted to, save it externally, you could do it through screenshots or some kind of screen capture. But we at Huddly don't have anything official on how to save screen caps from the canvas.
That sounds good to me. All right. Next question comes in from Tony. Is there latency with these cameras? If so, how much? I would say the L1 and the S1 is what we're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, the L1 and S1 are very low. I used to know the exact number, but it's escaping me right now. The main reason that, we have built our own driver for the time being is to reduce latency. So, Windows can support OnVIF cameras natively, but their current driver for OnVIF isn't as good as it could be. Now they are in the process of updating it. At that time, we will be able to use the native driver, which is going to give us some plug and play capabilities with the network cameras. That's pretty nice. So you won't have to load those drivers. But yeah, the latency is low enough to be used well for a conference room camera.
All right. Next question comes in from, wait a minute. Done. Next question is here from Brandon. Brandon asks, the L1 install guide says the USB to PoE adapter works with Windows 10, but does not mention Windows 11 or any Mac OS. Yes. What's your statement on that?
That's correct. It should work with Windows 11. I use an L1 with a Windows 11 machine all the time. Mac support is coming. So hopefully, we were hoping to have it out this month, but it's looking more like end of this month, early next month for a Mac driver. But that's been, the Mac driver as well as the auto loading driver for Windows are basically the two top things that our engineers are working on right now. And like I said, hopefully the end of this month, early next month, we'll have both of them in place.
Okay, sounds good. And I answered that one there. Rod asked about the time frame, but I think that was regarding the question he previously asked, and I think we went ahead and said it was a couple months out. I hope that's the right answer, Rod. If you do, just drop a note back into the Q&A, and I will address that. But we answered that one there. All right. I guess I have one last question. Since you guys are the manufacturer, and the question has come in through my back channels here, what trends do you guys see? You're smart enough to put it together, some cool framing stuff and do all that. But, we would like to know as an audience, and what do you guys feel is coming down that is going to change cameras again? Like, do you guys see a trend happening that is going to be impactful enough that we should be paying attention to? And I'll ask the question to all three if there's anybody who wants to step in and answer that one.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that we've spoken a lot about, the equity in the conference room and being able to do it. And I'll throw some hypothetical things out there as we were talking about the number of people in a conference room and getting the realistic viewing angles. Hypothetically, maybe an IP-based platform with multiple cameras, with lots of headroom might be able to address multiple angles and kind of work together. So the foundation that Huddly's laying down, I think, is going to be real flexible to where a lot of trends are moving to. Another thing is where you saw codecs traditionally, or whether it was from a Cisco Poly type of thing in the larger conference rooms, people are wanting to use Microsoft Teams or wanting to use Zoom just like they have been for the last few years and have that same experience. So having the USB devices that will work with Teams and with Zoom is another thing that we're seeing in the large conference room more than we had before. Unfortunately, we have that the L1 and been seeing lots of demand for the enterprise level at this point, just really wanting to equip those large conference rooms with Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever platform that they're using.
Okay. Sounds great. Let's get back to the PowerPoint presentation because producer Mark has control of that right now. Because though everybody comes to hang out and speak to you and wants to speak to the manufacturers, we all know that they're here for the prizes. Unfortunately, sorry, Todd, that's the way it works. They are very excited, and producer Mark is going to hit the random button here, and I will get a message in about 2 seconds of who won the $50 Amazon gift card. And that winner is Chip Chapman. Congratulations, Chip. You won the $50 Amazon gift card. But because Huddly knew that you guys are here for the prizes, they showed up with some cool kits. So there's going to be some additional prizes given away. And you want to show what that kit looks like? There we go. You get the Huddly One Work From Anywhere kit. I'm assuming that's what the WFA stands for. Unless you guys got some
correct.
See, Kayla, I was gonna save the what would you call that? Work from anywhere, work from home, but I don't want to make assumptions. Thank you so much for providing this. We got 4 winners that are eligible for this prize, and Mark has been spinning the randomator here. And the first winner is Mark Hunt. Second winner, Charles Reynolds. Third, Donna Solomon. And fourth winner, Harold Post. Thank you so much, Huddly, for providing these cool work from home kits, work from anywhere kits. Let's be precise. People are not going to be just working from home in the near future. You can work from anywhere using the Huddly One. So congratulations to all the winners. And thank you so much. Producer Mark will be in touch with all of you to get your contact details, obviously, and let you know how you're going to get this. Let's remind everybody, and Kayla, this is the part of the show that I get to quiz you on.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be up next. You're going to be at Integrated Systems Europe, ISE. Your booth number is there for anybody from overseas who's watching this or maybe going overseas. Check out Huddly. Infocom, you're going to be at Infocom at booth 3047. Are you going to tell us any Infocom secrets, or do we have to, leave us on a cliffhanger? What are you doing?
All of the things. So everything that we talked about today, we will be highlighting at both ISE and Infocom. We are also in the process of making sure that we have a way within our space to be able to demo both speaker framing and gallery view. So if you want to see that live, then definitely come out to both of these shows. We will be there. We are also participating in Cavlo, Nashville in May, so you can find us there. And I know our team's also going out to ECCS next week. So that is, I think that's all the events really for the next couple months. It's exciting to see that we're getting back to it because I was building a lot of virtual booths there for a minute, and I'd much rather pay a booth builder now.
It's a lot easier in your particular type of equipment that you deal with. It's easy, and it's actually makes sense to demo it obviously virtually because you get to see the camera and see what the camera does on the far end, which is important. But actually getting to see it working in play will be awesome. Speaking as somebody who just recently went to an event to actually have people that I could talk to and pick up a device for the first time. There was another manufacturer who had something that I had not seen, only on product spec and PDF. And I'm like, wow, that is not what I saw on the product spec. I thought that it was much larger in terms of the everybody's making a sound bar. So I was looking at the sound bar. I'm like, well, that's not what I had pictured. I should have looked at the spec a little bit better. But yes, it's so cool to see these things finally in person and to see it and watch it. And and all that. So thank you for all the heads up for all the places, ISE and Infocom, Cavlo, and you got a bunch of stuff. So thank you so much. I guess that's it, or do we have something else, Mark? I know we have something else. And here it comes. Boom, there it is. So while we go to Infocom, just a reminder, folks, Starin is going to be at Infocom for the first time in a long time, since obviously because of pandemic and stuff like that, we've not been at a show. Last time we were in Orlando in 2019, and we did something special for a local charity having to do with raising funds for service animals for people of military veterans and first responders. We are taking that charity on the road with us. This time we're going to be working with the local Vegas charity, supporting the same thing where they are raising service animals to be provided to disabled veterans and to first responders. It's a great cause. We will have the Starin Cares program at Infocom. So please, if you can, donate if you'd like, or help spread the news that we're doing this sort of stuff. It's for a good cause. There's a barcode, obviously there, the QR code. Everybody should be familiar with it. You can't go to a diner these days without getting a barcode for a menu. So if it was 2019, you guys think I was odd putting a barcode on. Well, not QR code. I'm not even hip enough to know what that is. So anyway, there you go. There is our Starin Cares program that we're doing at Infocom. Please come see us there. I'm just going to start hyping it up now. It is March. There are bitter days ahead, and those days are going to be seeing you guys in person for the first time in a very long time at Vegas, if not at Cavlo. That's where we'll be going. And we have our upcoming town hall. We have numerous town halls coming up. The next one is on March 24th. We're bringing back Barco by popular demand to talk about some cool and interesting things that they have coming up. So before we go, I would like to thank the team from Huddly who showed up today. You guys were great. You're wonderful. You're all good sports. I should have prepared you that my PC was having a bad day, so I came on a little grumpier than normal. Outside of that, thank you so much for coming by. Where can we find out more information about you guys? Kayla, this is your thing.
Yeah.
Where can we find out more information about Huddly?
You can go to our website, or you can feel free to reach out to any of us. So our email is ussales@huddly.com. Me and Todd, we're the most tenured on the team, so we only have a first name email. So it's just Kayla@huddly.com and Todd at Huddly. And then Charlie, we had to throw his last name in there too. So it's charlie.mccarroll@huddly.com. Feel free to reach out to any of us. We'd be more than happy to help.
I am the only Charlie, so it is a little bit offensive, but I'm just throwing that out.
Yes. Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate you guys taking the time, answering all the questions, putting up with me, and obviously, thank you for supplying some wonderful gifts for our audience to experience the Huddly cameras and see what they think. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Neto. I am the Market Development Manager. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here today. We appreciate it. We're so happy that we're finally getting back out on the road to see you guys in person, because none of this is possible without you guys actually seeing, communicating, asking us questions, and hopefully we have the right answers for you guys. We will be there at Cavlo with Huddly. So if you want to reach out to Huddly as well, you can get through to them through your Starin customer experience reps or to your salespeople. You can always find me on the internet and doing things. Outside of that, I wish you all a happy, spring, because we're getting out of this. And we will see you next month with Barco at the next Starin Town Hall. Thank you very much.